All right. So I was sitting here for a few moments ago, trying to get things ready, and I was looking at these two Chemexes, and I realized that they're the same Chemex, right? These are both 6-cup Chemexes, but they're actually not the same. If we look at them, they're actually different. Or maybe this is an 8-cup. Is this an 8-cup? I don't think so. This is... Oh, it is an 8-cup. Never mind then. That's why they're different. This is the 8-cup Chemex. This is 6-cup Chemex, which should be fine. They're roughly the same. But I was looking at them. They are a little bit... I was like, they look different, but I think they're the same. This one is the hand-blown, fancy Chemex. I've had this for many, many years. It's just been sitting here at the house because I never use it because it's just, fancy and expensive. Where this one is the more commercial, industrialized, blown glass that has a glass handle. And the glass handle ones are better because, at least for commercial environments, because you don't have to take this wooden leather collar off to clean. Well, you don't really have to take it off to clean, but, you don't get the deterioration where this one is just easier for a commercial production environment. And I noticed that the butane is not boiling as well. So how are you all doing today? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of coffee Q&A here on the OnoCoffee channel, where we talk about coffee and answer questions about coffee, share thoughts about coffee, and all of that. So how's it going? It's funny. I was trying to get the stream launched, I did have a little bit of a technical issue trying to get it started, which I was a little bit surprised with. And I noticed the comments. Naomi's like, "You must be trying to get paper filters." I was like, you know what? You're right. I totally forgot to grab the Chemex filter, so I go in and grab those. And now we're all ready to go. So how y'all doing? Welcome back to the show. Booster says he hasn't used this Chemex in several years. Oh yeah. Well, here's so today you're probably wondering about why do I hate the Chemex? Why do I hate this brew method? It's not that I hate the Chemex. It's that I really have come to dislike this brew method that I'm going to share with you today because I think it's just very complex, right? And difficult to execute, especially in a commercial environment. But it was what we used throughout the history of Spro because it was what we developed, and it was a recipe that we came up with that we thought was the best representation of Chemex for a 12-ounce coffee or a 12 or 8-ounce coffee. And I've actually shared that recipe with you. So if you look in the description, there's a first line that basically has a link to the recipe. So you can download the PDF that has this recipe here. It is this PDF. And this is the actual file that we gave to baristas when we brought them on, starting in 2010. It hasn't changed since 2000. I've never updated it just because I'm really poor at things like that. But this is the Chemex brewing guide, right? So this is our brewing guide, and it goes through what we're going to go through today, details all that. So what's happening, Naomi, Marco, Pusa, good to see all of you. Naomi says, I'm ready for the weekend. I get my machine back tomorrow. Oh, that's right. You better get a machine. Who did you send it to get fixed? I'm curious. Kent is with us. What's going on, Kent? Good to see you as well. Got tired of the clogging, but it does make some clean cups, in my opinion. Are you getting clogging in the Chemex? From the filters, right? Okay. Perhaps that could be, if that's the case, maybe too fine a grind, because I think that sometimes if we grind too finely, then it starts to fill up the pores or the space between the fibers of the paper filter, so that can cause a lot of slowdown. And it says, I haven't used the Chemex in a good long bit either. Mom is with us. Good to see you, Mom. Naomi says, I tried DIY and flubbed it, so I had to take my espresso machine in to fix. Well, you got to try at least. At least you got to try. Because if you get it right, then you save money and you learn a lot more. And even if you flubbed it up, you still learn that, maybe I shouldn't have done this. Ken says, long time since I used the Chemex, but I bought one for my friend this Christmas. Oh, nice. Maybe you can share with him this recipe, or perhaps not. Mary says, I like the Chemex on the handle. It's 6 cup. Yes, the 6 cup and 8 cup turns out this is 8 cup. And Bruce says, yeah, I tend to grind the finer. So yeah, it's always this. I always think that grinding is something that is constantly to be adjusted, right? So there is. I've been having a lot of sniffling and sneezing lately. Hold on one moment. So grind, like I said, grind is something that I think is something that is a constant evolution or constant adjustment, because the coffees that you may switch coffees. As I blew my nose, I kind of like blew the equilibrium in my ears now, so that I'm not hearing equal out of the ears now. But as you change coffees, and then, or if you keep the same coffee, the environmental conditions may impact the coffee in a way that it changes its basic structure. I don't know if that's the correct word, and then which means that when you put it to a grind, it may change the way it actually grinds in your grinder, even if you haven't changed the grind settings. So it's always something that you kind of, even in a professional environment, we're always kind of watching. That's a factor that we're kind of monitoring throughout our processes and over multiple days to see, is the coffee performing in the way that we're expecting it to. And like I mentioned during the espresso shows where we talked about controlling the different variables, we really are always looking to see how the coffee is performing. And hopefully the only thing we really need to adjust is the grind, right? Recipes are standardized, approach and pour is standardized, so that hopefully reduces a lot of the variations that can happen. Do I know Bruce White? I forgot the name of his shop, but it's the only one I know of around me. One day we will talk. I gifted my mom, Marco says, a Chemex some years back. Now I need to get her that PDF with the Spro broom. Well, let's talk about it first before, it may not turn out to be a great gift for your mom. Your mom may hate you more. See, well, moms are not like that. Moms secretly hate their children. They never outright hate their children. Well, I guess you have, unless depending on your mom. But perfect brew services. Okay. Devin says hello, Devin. How is things in Indonesia? In Baltimore, yes. Okay, so here's the thing. So back when we were going to start the then new shop in Hamden, we needed to. The idea was to be as hardcore as we possibly could. Like, how can we be hardcore as possible? How can we push our craft more? How can we increase the complexity of what we're doing? In some ways, it's ego. In some ways, it's just showing off, right? Like how much of badasses can we actually be, as baristas at doing the craft? And so the idea was to have multiple brewing methods and coffees from multiple roasters, right? So I called up my friends in the business and I lined up 6 different coffee roasters, and those were Heinz Public Market Coffee of Seattle, Washington, Stumptown Coffee in Portland, Oregon. Who else do we have? Intelligentsia of Chicago, Counterculture in North Carolina, Echo Cafe in Northern California, which is Andrew Barnett's place. Oh, 6 roasters. Yeah, that was a 6 roaster. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I don't think, did we do Intelligentsia? Maybe we didn't do Intelligentsia. Maybe we did, because we did Barefoot Coffee Roasters as well. So maybe it was 6 or 7. But anyways, we had 7 brew methods, 6 coffee roasters. And we rotated coffees with them. And these were all friends of mine. And this was at a time in 2009 when I put all this together where multiple coffee roasters in a shop was really unheard of. Like maybe only one other person was doing it, and most roasters were very against it. Like the only reason that some of the roasters, like let's say, the only reason Counterculture went with it because their sales rep was actually a good friend of mine, so he was willing to go with it. Company wide I don't think they were down with it. Like it actually kind of upset some people in the business, right? Like because I would do things like we're going to offer multiple people's coffees and. And one of the things is that, a lot of companies, especially then, a coffee roaster will give you a lot of support, training, service, and all this. And I didn't need any of that. I was already operating for a few years by this point. And because, my mentor was my supplier at Heinz, and he was in Seattle, I really kind of always operated kind of on my own. So we were always had to be self-supportive. So this is like in Naomi's case, this is before Perfect Brew ever became into existence. Like that guy used to come to my shop when we were in Timonium and hang out, and before he ever got into coffee. So when I was starting, it was really just Chesapeake Coffee Roasting, Baltimore Coffee, Key Coffee, and I have to say that I met David Key from Key Coffee, who also owned the. What's it called? That one coffee shop that's been there for many years, right on Thames Street in Fells Point. He was David Key. Him and I still are friends today, many, many years later. And he always opened his door to me. Always was, and I wasn't, nobody. And that's the one thing that I found with David Key was always very open to me when I started. Again, I was just a neophyte and knew nothing about it. John Sanders, who was my mentor in the business at Heinz, again, another story where he just opened his door to me. And I was like, wow, man, like, again, I'm just some nobody dude who doesn't know anything about coffee and living in Baltimore. And these people are like open their doors and like welcome me into their fold. And I've always been very grateful for that. And so, and, I think that I come from a world where I come from, I don't know if a world, but a mindset at least where, when you've been shown this level of kindness, it's almost like, my thoughts about loyalty to those people are almost rabid, like, because it's like they didn't have to do that. They could have gate kept, but they were very like open. And so I was like always very fond of these people. And then even the guys that I never really got to know them very well, but when I first met them, the guys that owned Chesapeake Roasting Coffee were they were also very open and very welcoming. So that was very, very nice. Very, very nice. Naomi says, if anyone knows a coffee grinder machine service shop, I'm open to suggestions. That as a professional operator, that is one of the greatest problems. We had an issue at the food market with the Fetco brewer, the big CBS twin brewer. And I don't really know who to call because, to be quite frank, I haven't found any espresso coffee machine service company to be worth my while. I've never had a good experience, and I've tried to use some of them. Oh, I've had one good experience. I'm sorry, that's not true. There is one guy that works for Ceremony Coffee, actually Ceremony Coffee, Annapolis, Maryland. The guy that does their service work, and I don't know if he does home consumer work, but he's always been solid. He's probably the only person that I've run into that's solid. We did use another company to do the Fetco because that came from Fetco's service network. And I think they're expensive, but they were fine. I think I only made the contact with them. I didn't actually have to handle the interaction and the actual service. I thought the prices were on the higher side with them, but they seem to be good. They seem to be good. I don't know. I don't have enough experience with them to have an opinion. But I do have enough experience in Baltimore's coffee scene to know that there's really no one that I would call. Who are you going to call? No one. Send it to Marty Rowe out in Kansas City. He's a great guy, and he really knows his stuff. Okay, so we got the two Chemexes. And so here's the thing. So if you look at the Chemex brewing guide, right, The thing is, I tasked our baristas with, we were hiring a whole new set of baristas. Well, we had a whole bunch of baristas. And I was like, okay, we need to get ready for this new shop. Let's develop our recipes. So we worked together, working on these recipes for a couple months, trying to figure out what's the best approach. And so what they did is they researched all the available recipes for the different brew methods that were available at the time. They tried them out. They tested them out. We tried them with different coffees. And then they eventually came to a point where they synthesized their own. So most of the recipes that I share with you on this show are actually still derivatives of the original Spro brewing recipes that we developed back in 2009. This is one of them. And this one hasn't really changed, mainly because it is an interesting recipe. As you can see here, let me zoom in a little bit. I wonder if there's a way that I could reduce the amount of glare. That's a little bit better. Okay, so let me turn that off. We're gonna have a little bit of shadows. But as you can see here, let me zoom in a little bit more. All right, I'll just bring it up to you. So we developed it for two sizes of coffee, 8-ounce and 12-ounce servings. We were planning on doing an 8-ounce, so we developed that, but we never ended up using it. We only went with 12-ounce cups because, we wanted to, in order to streamline things, we just went with 1 cup size for most every drink. So this is the 12-ounce. And so here's the thing. So it's a little bit of a complex thing. And we found that with a 12-ounce Chemex, this really does yield great results. The problem is that if you fall off of the pace, it does affect the flavor of the coffee. So it's not as good. So the first 35 seconds. So from the time you start, you want to pour 3 ounces in 35 seconds. And I never broke this down into milliliters because this is when we first started. So we were all in imperial measurements. And then eventually we actually switched to, not too long after these were created, we ended up switching to milliliters. But this is also why we always ran with grams. Like if you notice here, it says 24 grams for coffee proportions. So we've always kind of worked in this hybrid of metric and imperial measurements, right? So we would set the scales, and now our scales are set to milliliters. I guess I can set this one. So first 30 seconds, 3 ounces, which is, I think, roughly 80 grams. From 35 seconds to 1 minute, we want to pour up to 5 ounces. Then at the 1 minute mark, we want to, that's not right. From 0 to 35, we want to pour 3 ounces. Then at 35 seconds, we want to pour up to 5 ounces. By 1 minute, we want to be at 7 ounces. Then at 1 minute 30, we want to be at 8.5 ounces. Is that right? Yeah. And then 10 ounces, and then 11.5, and then 13. So about every 30 seconds, you're pouring another 2 to 3, somewhere between 1.5 to 2 ounces of water. So you're really kind of pacing it. And then it should finish before 4:15, right? The 8 ounces is a little bit faster, as you can see here, but the 4:15. And here's the thing. So this would be what we would use for single cup Chemexes. And we ended up using this 6-ounce, this exact brewer. This is actually one of the old ones. And I took it out of service, and that's why I have it, because there's a little crack here. There's a little crack on the spout. I don't know if you can, there it is. You can kind of see that crack there on the bottom of the spout. Perfectly fine for me to use here at home every once in a while, but not acceptable to use for customers, right? That's a little bit sketch. I mean, not that there's any flaking off of it, even to today, but why even take the risk? So, but this is the thing. So, it yields great coffee, but the thing is, you have to stay on this pace. And I found myself over the years, I'm kind of hating it when people would order a coffee that what we normally put in a Chemex. I was like, oh man, because I was like, oh, now I gotta, because I never, for whatever reason, while I've memorized a lot of different recipes, I never actually memorized this one. Like I never memorized it. Like that's why I had to print this out today so that I could follow it to go along with you. So it is a complex. To me, it's a complex recipe. Whereas if we were to make, so here's the crazy thing. So like, if you do 12 ounces, you really want to hold to this recipe because I think it produces the greatest results. However, if we wanted that situation where we doubled the recipe, so let's say someone came in and said, I'd like a coffee. Okay, we make it for you this way. But I'd like 2 coffees for me and my friend. The recipe for a double Chemex completely changes, where it's almost as though you don't really even worry about it, right? Like basically we would then double the recipe where we, instead of 24 grams, we put 48. Put it in the filter, and then you just run and gun it to 700 grams, right? We do 350 grams total for the 12 ounce, 700 grams of water for and there, after you bloomed it, you just run and gun it. You just kind of fill it all the way up, let it fall, fill it up, let it fall, and then you're done. So when people wanted 2 cups, awesome, because that was on the working side of the bar, that was much easier to execute than the single cup. So you're like, every time the single cup came up, I was like, terrible. So let's go through this and see. And why do I have 2? I got 2 because I thought, let's brew 2 side by side. One where we're just kind of doing the interval method, where like how we've been doing, where we're just pouring water, trying to keep a pace about 100 grams a minute. And then this other one, we will try to maintain adherence to the recipe. Uh-oh, why did my flame go out? Am I going to explode here? So let's start to get that ready. So if you have questions about the Chemex, let me know, or anything in general. You know me, I always want to know what you're thinking. All right, so we've got to get our filters. First of all, maybe we should get our coffees. Let's get our coffees together. I got 2 scales, and we're going to use the Fincafe Gracia from Bari Portillo. This is from Western Honduras in Capucas. And it is a red Catuai that she gave to me when we were in Chicago. So it's a little bit old. And again, with the old coffees that I have, this one has just been sitting around here, just kind of hanging out. Hasn't been in the freezer, it's been sealed in the bag, right? But it hasn't really been, it's been kept in like a box, so it's not terribly exposed to sunlight. But it's not like we've got crazy amounts of exposure or anything. So let's have a look here. So we're going to have our scale. We need to get our measurements. Using your scale here, turn this on. And as always, we're going to use 24 grams of coffee for the finished ounce. Oops. $24. Wow, nice. Okay. And now it's time for the grinding with our, ode. Sorry about that click. As I was moving this stainless steel cup, it caught on my magnet that's holding the microphone in place. So, okay, now we're gonna get this. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna put this coffee in here so that we will have it at the ready. Because we still I'm gonna measure one more. What number of the grind setting? I'm using just off of the 6. So how do you call this? Let's see. See, the 6 is at the 12 o'clock position. This is one click from the 6. Is this the right position? I don't really know. I just kind of flow with it when it comes to the grinder. I kind of get a feel, and then I'm basing it basically on how is the performance. So let's say, what am I thinking about when I think about grind for this is like, let's say we brewed yesterday, which we didn't, but let's say we did. And let's see, was it at this same grind setting? How did it perform during that brew? And then like today, I would, if I thought it didn't perform well, I would change it. Or if I was just feeling like I wanted to change it, I would change it. I don't necessarily have, there is a way to be more scientific about how to choose your grind setting, but I'm kind of not doing any of that. All right, 24.1, can we make it 24.0? No. How about a small bean? Let's look for a small bean. 24.0, excellent. All right, put that aside. Now we're going to grind this up to root. I really do like the speed of this grind. Okay. I'm going to make this in here. Okay, we've got our 2 servings of coffee ready. The water is boiling vociferously. Under Chemex. So Chemex here. Chemex here. There are 2 Chemexes. I should zoom out a little bit. And the 2 filters. These are the regular Chemex filters that are squares, right? I actually I prefer to have the circular ones because it just sits a little bit nicer in the Chemex. Now, if you're not familiar with the Chemex, it is a folded square, right? And this is a pine-based paper filter, which is different than the way that like say V60 filters or the Melita filters perform. The whole thing about the Chemex is that the Chemex has this proprietary formula for whatever this paper is. To my mind, this is the entirety of the Chemex right here, the paper filter, right? You can use all these other filters, or let's say people use metal filters in these Chemex. They're like, I'm making Chemex coffee. No, you're not. This is the Chemex. This is what embodies the Chemex. Like, this is the sexiness of the Chemex, right? Like, this is the sexiness, but this is why you keep coming back, right? So it folds over, and then what you do is you take this folded thing and you actually open it up to create a pocket. So you grab one of the plies and open it up like this, and then now you have the 3 versus 1, which keeps the 3 on this side. What you're going to do is you're going to take the 3 and you're going to put it where the spout is, against this. Can that be seen? See, here's this. Here is the spout. Right, and you're going to put that 3-ply over the spout. That way, if you did it this way, you could do it this way, but because it's 1 ply, it will probably collapse into your spout and just cause pouring problems later in case you want to, pour with that. So this way, you just do it this way, and all is good. All is good. So put that there. Oh, we do need to pull out some more. Always got to pull out. Always got to pull out. Okay, so now we're going to take this one. Same thing, just pull the ply open. Pull it open. Use your fingers to spread it open like that. Good. And then we're just going to, we have to tear out, we're going to tear out our scales. We'll use Brew Assist on this one. Tear that out. I'm going to tear this one out. This one is a little bit older and beat up, so I have to reset it. So we're going to put this in here. There we go, 24 grams. Oops. 24, good, good. Now this one, of course, doesn't have the resolution that the fellow does. That's all right. Put that in there. 24 grams. Ooh, gosh, we are like rocking and rolling today. All right, all right, all right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to brew these two together, and we're going to, what is it? We're going to brew this one to our recipe, this crazy recipe. And then this one, we're just going to brew as I'm just do interval brewing with it. Just kind of pour, and roll with it. So we need to scale here, I have to reset that to 0 because we're going to go to 350 grams here. We're going to use this brew assist as our, what do you call it? As our timer as well. Oh, and here we have we need to go to 114.5 for our ratio because we want 350 grams. So 350, 24 grams of coffee. And I think we're ready to go. Oh, gosh. These snifflies are killing me. All right, so we've got our, oops. We even have our little Trevet, says Chemex. So we're all very stylish here at the, oh, I need to reset this, right? So we reset that. Good. Okay, we're good to go now. Water is all boily. So is it medium fine? Fine? I mean, more medium, maybe slightly to the medium fine. Like, the thing about these is that you really can't, the numbers are just like a referential thing. It's not really absolute. Like, so what is 5.2 on my grinder may not be 5.2 on your grinder. Okay, so let's start pouring. So first 35 seconds, 3 ounces, which I don't know how much that is. I think it's 75. Oops, a little bit more. So now here we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to let this bloom. Oh, this is kind of stressful. So 20, 30, 31, 32, 33. We're going to go to 5 ounces now, which I don't know how much that is. God, I should have calculated that. Oh, well. We will approximate this. And then now we need to go here to, oops, a little bit heavy. At 1 minute, over 1 minute, we need to go to 7 ounces, which is, something. I'm going to say 150 is 7 ounces, more or less. And I'm basing this on the idea that 25 millimeters is equivalent to 1 inch. So I'm making a totally wild and totally unsubstantiated 8.5 ounces. Let's go to 190. 190. Okay, 190. 177. We are at almost 2 minutes. Okay, so we're kind of pacing it. We're kind of on pace for this one. I don't know if we're on pace for this one. I have no idea what we're doing anymore now. I've already lost the plot. 10 ounces. 10 ounces. 232. Let's go to 235. Okay, 236 is good. Good. This is, you thought that I was professional, but really I'm not. I just play that on television. Okay, so 2 minutes 30. So we have 2 minutes 30 seconds. We'll go to 11.5 ounces. Okay. Which I think we're pretty close, right? I think we're pretty close. That's 280. 282 is good. So what I'm keeping the water level at the same level here. I think I'm following. I was following this. I'm not really following it. I have no idea what I'm doing here. 3 minutes, we're going to go to a 13 ounces. So, we're pretty close, right? We're pretty close. No, we're not. We're actually kind of off. If it's 350 grams, we are way, oh, no, we're off. We're close. We're close. We're close. We got to be close. 304, we're at now 3 minutes, 15 seconds. So we're almost there. Oh, 315. Oh, gosh. Almost 3 grams left. I'm going to hit that now. Psht. Bam. Oops. 351, 352. Okay, we the same amounts of coffee now. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good. And we're rolling here. Malky says, I wonder if the 25 millimeter equivalency to 1 inch came from 25 millimeters being. I mean, so is it actually 25 milliliters to 1 ounce? Because I just totally, I only know the 25 millimeters to 1 inch only because I've been doing this woodworking thing lately, and I work all in millimeters, and I'm just I'm totally hypothesizing this. I have no basis of actual to make that statement, but I'm just like, well, I guess we're just gonna. It must be. Because, okay, so let's see, 14 ounce. So our recipe is based on basically 14 ounces of coffee, which is roughly 350 milliliters of water. I believe that's correct. So 350 milliliters of water. So if we divide it by 14, I got a calculator. Why don't I just use this? Okay. 350 milliliters with 25. So 25. Yeah, man. I totally am like a metric imperial savant. Braxton says, man, I haven't made a Chemex in a long time. I enjoy it. It's not what I grab for when making up. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of, I don't know, maybe it's kind of fallen out of vogue, right, with people. I don't know. Let's see here. So here's our bottom. We're done now. We're within the time. I don't know where the time limit. I stopped paying attention, to be honest. Let's have a look here and see about, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but I just thought about it. Let's have a look at our paper. Okay, move this out. Oh, there's that. Is that me? No. As I'm sitting here looking at this paper, there was a waft of florality. Now, I've been drinking this coffee a little bit this last couple of days, and where's that coming from? No. Wild. Okay, that's wild. I've never experienced this before with this cover. I never noticed. There's a aromatic of sweet florality here. Whoa. I'm totally shocked by this. I completely unexpected. I have no idea what this is about. I have no idea. We drank this coffee yesterday. I didn't smell this thing yesterday. So, but let's look here. So we've got somewhat. Oh yeah, here's the plies. There's multiple plies this way. This is how it should. They're oriented now the same way. Very similar. Wet. Permeation of the brown in the wet filter. Very similar looking pores, but this one. So same coffee, same grind setting, same quantity, same amount of water, just different pores. But look at the way that, I don't know if you can see this too easily, but look at the way the difference is with the coffee bed. This one, this one is, just look at the difference. You can see the difference. There's a big difference. This is a little bit more muddier or looks soupier, where this one is a little bit more grainy. because this was the interval pouring, and this was, well, this is the brew recipe pouring, where we're doing, precise or some theoretically precise pours, and this one is, just kind of like our normal interval pouring. So very interesting to see that there is a difference here, in that that's such an interesting. Yeah, the stress of it all, says Naomi, a little bit stressful. Coffee Cove says, if you need an espresso machine fixed, talk to Hoon at Hoon's Coffee. He took the one to the shop. He took the shop around Tucson. Oh, wow. I didn't know that he had one down there. Okay, that's awesome. So Naomi says 28.3 is 1 ounce. Okay. So you have destroyed my metric dreams. Naomi says that her first experience with the Chemex made her buy one. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I like the Chemex overall. But this whole thing about making the Chemex, like it is a little bit more difficult, I guess. It's not as easy, and it's bigger, so you got more complexity to deal with. Whereas the V60, you just kind of toss it out there, just don't have to worry about it too much, and it's smaller, so easier to control. Keona's with us. Aloha to you, Keona. How are you? Is this the orange tangerine coffee? Yes, it is. This is the one that has notes of dark chocolate, tangerine, and floral. Oh, there it is, tangerine and floral. Man, I didn't smell that yesterday, but gosh, it's almost like a cologne. Like it was. That's why I had to smell myself, because I was like, because I haven't even though I know that I had already washed this at one point, but. This is something I might wear out, right? When I'm, talking to the ladies. So I'm going to have some cologne on me, right? To like some Axe, right? So I was like, is that me? But, I was like, fascinating. Okay, that's fascinating. Nobody says, that sounds so good to me. What a nice to have. Yeah, it's totally a surprise. Totally a surprise. Okay, so let's have some glassware. I'm going to grab our 2 glass mugs here so that we have equivalent experiences, but the mug is a little bit cool from the coolness of the house. My house is kind of cold. I'm kind of cheap, so I don't like to keep the heat too high. I can put more clothes on. Okay, so we're going to pour this here. And check out our elixirs. So good clarity on both, right? Look at that. Theoretically, they should be pretty much the same looking, because the extraction level should be relatively the same, right? All right, let's see here. We're going to start off with the old classic, the old are kind of like just an interval pour. That this is what I kind of do now mostly. Dark chocolate. I'm not getting, so while there's a strong aromatic of the florality, I'm not really getting too much floral. Oh, maybe on the finish. Yeah, a little sweet florality sweet florality on the finish. Okay, let's try this one. Huh. Okay. The coffees are very similar. They're the same coffee. Same batch, same roast, same quantity of coffee, same type of brewer, same filter batch, same water, a little bit different pouring. There's better structure in this one. There is a noticeable, there is a noticeable difference in the 2 cups. I mean, I'm surprised, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm surprised, right? Like, I should not be surprised. Like, this is totally why we spent all these months developing this recipe so that we could get the best performance out of a Chemex. So the idea that this would give you better structure, better clarity of structure. Like, comparatively, this is slightly muddier. Not muddy. Like, if you were to drink this all by yourself, it's fantastic. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's solid. And if you were to drink this all by yourself, you're like, that's good. That's really good. But comparatively, that is significantly noticeably better than this one. I haven't done this kind of test. Oh gosh, I'm lazy. I haven't done this. I haven't done this level of test between the two methods, to test this recipe out in decades. I mean, easy 10 years, probably since the aughts, right? But now that we're sitting here doing them head to head, wow, that's really a big difference. There really is a difference. And so, I mean, the PDF is on the description down below. So download it. And if you have the chance, and if you have two Chemexes, do them head to head. See if you get the same results. I'm interested to know, but I think I am really, surprised and not surprised that I'm experiencing the difference between the two. Like, yeah, it's really. I'm almost like that's crazy. It's crazy. So there it is. So yeah, give it a try. I'd like to see what you think on the coffees that you're using at home. If you try that and then see, maybe you'll be like, okay, I'm doing this interval pouring, maybe 75 to 80 grams for your first pour to bloom. And then 100-gram pours or 100-gram pours through the minutes until you get to about 350 grams of total water, where this one, if you follow the recipe, it'll bring you there. And wow, even what we did, we developed this recipe in 2009, which was 15 years ago. I'm 15 because we developed it in like fall of 2009. So it's only been 15. So 15 years ago, we developed this recipe. And still today, gosh, it's still. I wasn't sure what to expect from this. Like but wow, there's still genius in there. I can never say things like that with a straight face. It's so terrible. All right, so that sounds good to me, says Naomi. What a nice surprise. We already said it, but yes, super surprising, but it shouldn't be surprising. I don't know why I'm so surprised, right? Braxton says that I usually do a bloom plus 1 or 2 pours for Chemex. It's a lot of fun, but less fat than a siphon. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like, if you follow this is a lot of fat. Like, this is why I didn't like to make it on the bar, because I was like, oh God, because we have to follow this recipe. And now I see once again, this is the reason why we follow this recipe, because we could pour it just like this, and it's not as good. It's just not as good. It's not as good as this. This is the cooler it gets. The cooler it gets, the greater the superiority in the cup. So interesting. Naomi says, I can only drink black coffee in the upcoming days. Maybe I'll pull out the Chemex. Why only black coffee? Because of the espresso machine, or just because you want to focus more on black? And I think black coffee, when you buy nice coffees, black coffee can be very rewarding. Like, if you end up getting coffees from, more commercial sources, black coffee is a very challenging existence, I think. Like, when we went to our Serve Safe class recertification back in July, the venue that was hosting the class, they brewed coffee for their staff, which is all Folgers, and that was That's a difficult coffee for black. So I think I told you this. I remember I ended up using in the refrigerator they had the International Gourmet, like or maybe the Coffee Mate, the French vanilla creamer. So I was like, oh God, this coffee is in desperate need of French vanilla creamer. Now we say, see, we need a class on coffee. Okay, we will definitely have that. Lesson 1, the slurp. The slurp. So here's the thing. So like, why do we slurp? So I guess I'm not even noticing I'm slurping anymore. And that's what you're talking about. So the idea is that you want to oxygenate the liquid, the coffee, to help express it more on your palate. So you might consider that. Like, I know it's much more polite when you're out in public to be, but I think you get enhanced flavor by slurping. So because what you're trying to do is, to a lesser extent, and so I'm just doing this, right? And that helps to oxygenate and spread it on the palate a little bit. Now, if you're doing a cupping style tasting, you will. Do I have a cupping spoon here? I don't have a spoon. I don't know where it is. But anyway, you take your spoon and you do a heavier slurp, one that kind of, you know how the spray bottles of cleaner, like your Fantastic cleaner, and your spraying has got the like this, right? Instead of a stream, you want the idea is that you're slurping so that you do that onto you to coat your entire mouth, your entire palate, right? So this is to a lesser extent, like if cupping style, you do something like something harder. But for this, we're just kind of like, just a little bit. And that little bit, I think, really does help to enhance the flavor. It's kind of like, let's say you're cooking, right? Or you're eating food, you add a little bit of salt to your food and it pops the flavor just a little bit, right? I think that's a similar effect when you're drinking coffee, especially like nicer coffees that you want to experience the flavors more. Like, I wouldn't do this with that Einstein Brothers coffee that we had, that creme brulee latte that had that really defective like coffee base. Like, I wouldn't want to. I don't want to enhance that flavor more. Something like this, I do. So it's a situational thing, right? Consider your situation and what you want to highlight. Now he says clarity of structure. I don't know what that really means. Oh. So what I'm saying by that, so like here there is, I'm just telling you these things so that I sound like I'm a YouTuber and that knows what he's talking about, but really I'm just making it up. Okay, so what I mean by clarity of structure is that when you compare these two head to head, okay, when I say these things, it's not meant to say that this is bad coffee, right? But it's more of a comparative relative thing between these two. Between these two, this one's the flavor, the way that the flavors that appear on your palate is muddy compared to the way they come across here. Here they come across more crisp, sharper, more layered, right? That's what I mean by the structure. You can taste, you can feel on your palate the flavor. I'm going to use flavor when I really do mean structure, the way that it feels, the mouthfeel, the feeling on your tongue, mainly on your tongue, is clearer, greater clarity than this. It's one of these things that, I know that may not convey perfectly accurately to you, but if you were to do this together, try this in some fashion, I think you would see that. I mean, when you taste it, it's super apparent. Like, it's like, oh yeah, there really is a huge difference. Maybe I'm not being able to communicate this as well as I could. Yeah, the recipe, I'm surprised. The recipe, I keep saying that I'm surprised. I shouldn't be surprised. I spent an entire career developing these things, and I'm so surprised. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, definitely try it tomorrow if you can. Try it tomorrow. Speaking of salt, have you tried adding salt to your? I've tried it a couple times, and and as with anything, I know some people are like, my mom is always like, don't put too much salt. I said, there needs to be salt, right? And then some of my friends are like, well, salt is bad for you. Yes, salt is bad for you if you eat it in commercial processed food, because we use so much commercially processed food for the processing. They use so much salt, sodium additives, that over time it's a bad thing. But if I was talking to someone years ago about this, and I was like, how much salt can you add? It's like, dude, you cannot add to your food that you prepare at home. You cannot add enough salt to really, cause you harmful effects, right? Because by the time that you added that much, it would be way too salty to your palate to eat. And I was like, good point. So I never worry about adding salt to foods at home that I prepare myself. But I have tried it a couple times, and I do think it does. It does have that effect. I also like to sometimes I will use a little bit of sugar to pop the flavor, but just a little tiny bit, right? It's always one of those things where it's like you add a little bit, not to pop the flavor of the coffee, rather than to have a quantity of either salt or sugar that you actually notice the salt. So if you put salt in your coffee and you can taste the salt, too much. Like, it should just enhance the flavor. Just pop it just slightly. Kind of how MSG works in food. It just kind of enhances that flavor. He says, you've been a judge, so I'm sure you know what to... That really doesn't mean anything. But as a competitor, my whole thing was like, how good are these judges? Like, there's a part of me as a competitor too. When I was a competitor, I was like, these judges are not worthy of my drinks, right? Like, because I'm like, I wanted to see, like, I want to see how good they are. Like, I want to know, can you really taste these things? Because I don't really know if you can. Like, for example, the most egregious thing that I probably did in competition was, like, alcohol at any level is verboten. Like, they barely allow things like vanilla extract because of the alcohol content. So if you put alcohol, you can't put alcohol in your drinks at all. And under any circumstance, right? To do so, you get outright disqualified. But this was my last one in 2009. I was like, no, there's no way these judges can. I was thinking, there's no way these judges can taste the alcohol in this drink. I'm gonna use brandy, but no one's gonna know, and I'm not gonna reveal it. And if they ask me, I will tell them yes, because if you're good enough that you can taste the brandy that I'm using in this and identify it and be like, hey, I think there's alcohol in here, then okay, good, you got me. I deserve to be disqualified. I'm okay with that. And this is kind of stems from my years, like when I was competing as a paintball, right? And I always kind of believe that, so I've been on both sides of the paintball world, right? So both sides as both a player competitor as well as a referee judge, right? So I always believe that the part of the role of the competitor, this is true in paintball and even in coffee, is that you're supposed to push the boundaries, right? You have to push and push and push to see how much you can get away with. It's competition. You have to see you have to push that line as hard as you can, I think. The judge or the referee has to be good enough to push back against you and hold you to the line. So as a referee judge, I never had a problem like pushing on the players, be like, no, dude, you're out, right? You're out of here, man. But as a player, man, if I could intimidate the ref, I would totally intimidate the ref. Like, I'd be like, I'm on top, whatever to do with intimidation, I would try to push that. Now, I wouldn't cheat outright. Like, in paintball, if you get hit by a paintball, it breaks and you're out. Like, some people would wipe it off. I would never do that. But I will push the line as far as I can, right? And so in coffee, when I was still a competitor, the last one that I did in 2009, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this drink with lobster, celeriac, truffles, And part of the preparation behind it was using brandy to saute the lobster shells to create a broth. And you create the broth, and that provides the base for the drink. So basically, it was kind of like, basically, it was a lobster macchiato, essentially, right? With celeriac. And my friends were like, "Oh, it's just soup." I'm like, "Yeah, it's probably just soup, just like it's milk. But instead of milk, we're using soup, right?" So it's more kind of like a lobster celeriac bisque, which people really liked. But anyway, so like I used brandy to make part of it, and which again is against the rules. But I was like, you know what? And I'm not expecting to win. Like I didn't win. Like I got nowhere close to winning. But I was like, if these judges can catch me, I'm willing to get disqualified. Like I'm totally okay with that. So I don't know. You can judge me as you want. Like, but I remember thinking, there's no way these judges would. There's no judge out there that would, because for a lot of times, especially back then, I always thought the judges were kind of like I knew a lot of them, but I was like, these guys don't have the culinary chops to sit there. They're not that good. Like they're good with coffee. They're not good with everything else. Like there's no way they're going to catch me. There's no way. You know, the arrogance of youth. That's what it is. Coffee Cove says a tasting class we found. You know, we so based on some of the discussion we've had here on the show with encouragement from Naomi about certain things as well, it's like we will do more education in the new space. So I'm actually working on redesigning the space now to accommodate more of that kind of programming that we can come together and actually do like live classes and stuff like that. And also to reconfigure it. Well, and the reconfiguration actually changes the way that I was going to set up this live stream setup there, which is a little bit now makes it more complicated than I was thinking, but not a big deal. We'll figure it out. Neri says, I went without adding salt for a full year. You'd be surprised how your palate adjusts and you can taste now the natural salt within the food. I totally hear you. My parents have been doing that, right? They kind of really dropped their salt. But I'm still caught up in the restaurant world. I love the salt. Give me more salt. Let me taste the food. Put the salt on. I get it. It's like coffee, right? You don't add cream and sugar for a long time. You're like, well, this is really great. I hear you. I do hear you on that. I was a rebel. I was totally a rebel. I've actually always been a rebel. It's really bad. It's really terrible. I always got in trouble for those kind of things. Malcolm says, damn, lobster and truffles. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. But here's the thing. So for me, with competition, it was never really about, like, no doubt, if I was able to win the U.S. Barista Championship, that would have been amazing. Like, any competitor, no matter what their motives truly are, everyone dreams about winning. Even myself, like I'll be like, oh, that'd be amazing to win, right? And as a judge, I see that everywhere I judge in the world. All the competitors dream of winning. Everybody wants to win. Like they would like to have the glory. We all would like to have the glory. No matter how much we may say, oh no, I wouldn't want to have that glory. It's just too much. I'm happy where I am. No, you still want the glory. You want to be clawed at by women and desired for very fake reasons, right? That's what can you imagine? Right. But for me, it was always about like how my whole thing was when I was competing back then was I would like to share our vision of coffee, our message of coffee with the larger world. And so I always went to the organizer, Michelle, and I said to her, when I would get in, I was like, hey, can I have the very last position on the last day of the open round, the very first round? So let's say there's like 50 competitors. I want number 50 performance position. And nobody wanted that. So she was like, I always got it because she was like, oh yeah, nobody wants that. Everybody wants out. And I never understood that thinking and I get it. Like a lot of them were like, I want to get it over with. I'm really nervous. I'm scared and blah, 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 blah. But I always, early on, I realized that if you're the very last competitor, so how it works is that there's 2 days of competition. And at the very end of the last day, they announce those who are going to move on to the next level, to the preliminary round. So this is the open round, preliminary round, then finals, right? I was never serious enough that I would really expect to make it to the finals level. I just wanted to sometimes I wouldn't even make it to the preliminary level, right? I just wanted to present. And if I presented early on or in the middle of the day, nobody's watching you. Nobody cares because nobody's there. And still, when I would perform as the last person, nobody cares either. Like, I'm not saying that they're there, but everybody was there because after my presentation, they were going to announce. So everybody wants to know who's going to make it into the next round, which meant that I would have the biggest audience of all of them. Without having made it to the finals, I would be the biggest audience, right? Guaranteed. So I realized this early on. I was like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do. So every time I would do these competitions, I always did something maybe a little bit over the top, but always something that tried to push the boundaries of what we did. Like in 2007, we were in Long Beach, California. And because we're in Long Beach, Southern California, I was like, let's do a movie-themed kind of presentation, very rock and roll. Like I gave the guy the soundtrack that accompanied the performance. And I was like, okay, he was a concert like sound guy. And I was like, dude, I want you to rock this house as though we were in a concert. I want you to pump the volume to the point that it's painful. Right. And it was Metallica. And like, it was really quite an interesting and fun experience. But on the last one, this one in 2009, it was like, so once you're finished, they have to cover for the judges go and deliberate and give you your score, and then they have to rank everybody and then put that together and then make their announcement. So there's a little bit of time. And this time, since I had this very interesting, strange drink that used lobster, the MC was talking to me longer. So basically, I had not just the 15 minutes of presentation, but at least 45 minutes of just talking about what we're doing, talking about the drink, talking about what I do in coffee and what I like in coffee. And I was able to spread the message of what I like or what I do to the larger audience. And I remember the next day, I didn't make it to the preliminaries. I was totally eliminated. But the next day, I was at a coffee shop. I was at Billy Wilson's barista shop in Portland, Oregon. And this elderly man came up to me. He's like, hey, are you the guy that performed yesterday? And I was like, oh, yeah. He's like, I was there for my grandson, and I sat up in the bleachers at the very farthest position away from you, like up in the corner in the nosebleed seats. And he's like, I listened to what you had to say, and I really enjoyed what you said. And I felt as though you were talking to me. And I was like, holy. And I was like, wow, that was the whole game right there. I was like, that's all. That's everything right there. If we can reach people with hopefully a positive message of coffee, what more else? That's to me, that's winning right there, because the reality is that nobody remembers even the champion. Nobody remembers it. Do you tell me who the 2009 champion was? I can't tell you who won that year. I'm probably friends with that person. At this point, I have no recollection. But if this person remembers what we talked about, or at least the feeling that they got, that's really kind of like, to me, that's what's so important. That's like that's the whole game. The whole game's right there. Did the judges put you on? No, the judges didn't even know. They had no idea. They couldn't even tell, because it's a minor ingredient in a very early part of the process, right? So basically, what happens? You take your lobster, fresh lobster, you kill the lobster. In this particular case, I just kind of, knifed him instead of boil them. But you knife them and then you drop them. So here's the technique. So you take the lobster, you kill the lobster, you drop it in a pot of boiling water for 10 seconds, you pop it out. And what that does, it lightly cooks the lobster, and then it makes it easier to tear it apart. So you tear it apart, and you separate the meat, which you're going to poach in butter later. Then you take the shells and you use the shells as part of your base, right? So the shells are basically with... you saute them with oil and brandy, or butter, brandy, leeks, and then you remove the shells, and then you add water. I'm trying to remember now. Gosh, it's been over like 15 years now. I think we even use white wine. We could have used white wine as well. I probably would have used white wine. Celeriac. Cook that down. truffles, stick blended it all together, strained it a couple times to make a nice velouté, right? Really something nice and smooth. Salt, pepper. Is that everything? Poach the lobster in butter. I think that's everything. And then during the performance, it's about heating. You reheat the lobster sauce, bisque, soup, whatever you want to call it. Pull the espresso, put them together, add a little bit of lobster meat, some truffle shavings, done. One of my good friends, Scott Connery, who owns Carborough Coffee down in North Carolina, he was one of my judges, and he said he always says even today, he said that was one of the best drinks he ever had in competition. So that's a really nice compliment. And it's true. The truth is that I don't know if I even said this during my post-performance discussion, is like, I don't know if I think it's delicious. Like, it's interesting. It's different. It's a little bit weird, but I don't even know if I would say it's delicious, which I think makes it a little more intriguing. I don't know. To me, it was kind of weird. I was like, this is a weird flavor of drink, and I don't know if it's delicious or not. Maybe it is. I bet people say they loved it, right? Some of the judges. One of my other friends who was a judge, Mike Young, who actually was like, dude, what's wrong with you, man? Why didn't you do this, this, and this? And I was like, oh, I know. All right, fine. Because, what I did, he was like, you should have. So what I would do is I reheated the mix in a pan on an induction burner, right? So but I went straight from that into the vessels. And he was like, you should have transferred it into a nicer vessel. And I was like, really? I was like, because I had a kitchen mentality I was having a kitchen mentality, like, we're doing this in a kitchen behind doors, so whether that doesn't matter. But he's like, dude, you're doing this in front of your judges as though you were in front of the table at a restaurant. He said the presentation would have been better had you put it into some other decorative type vessel. I was kind of irritated that he took off points for that, but I was like, at the end of the day, he's kind of right. I was like, all right, fine. Maybe I could have made it to the preliminaries then. So yeah, a savory type of coffee, very savory. Like I like the idea of like playing around with different styles of coffee to really kind of try to push out. And it kind of stems from, I think it was Paul Bissett, the world champion many years ago, when he was competing early like 2002 or something like that. I think it was him. He actually used kangaroo meat. These Aussies, man, they're so strange. They're such a strange people. But he used kangaroo meat as in some method as a dressing or as a component of his drink, which eventually resulted in a ban on meats and other additives. So maybe I didn't put like bits of lobster, because that might have been actually disqualification level. I don't remember anymore. I'd have to, they shot video of all of these performances prior to 2010, but they never released them. So it's like, it'd be nice if we could see these things, even put them on YouTube. But the SCA is a very, yeah. My mom always said, if you don't have complimentary things to say, don't say them. All right, well, oh gosh, we're already past an hour. So this is the Chemex brewing method that we use at Spro. I am pleasantly surprised, and I guess reassured, that even 15 years later, gosh, it's still a viable recipe. Wow, it's really... So if you get the chance, download the brewing guide. It's free, and I'm not even asking you for a email. I probably should have set it up correctly so I could have capture more emails, but it's there available for you to try. So give it a try, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. So give it a try, compare it to how you brew Chemex, and tell me, is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? Is it worth your time? Like, is it too complex? I personally think it's very complex. Like, I'm like, oh gosh. Like I said, when I was doing this behind the bar, I was like, oh man, please order some other coffee. And I sometimes wonder, like, did we gravitate on our menu? Like on our menu, we would get new coffees and we would taste them in different brew methods and figure out which is the better one for it, which one we liked it better in, and give that as the default brew method. I do wonder now, like, I wonder if like there was some level of like resistance in my part to assigning the Chemex to coffees in general, because I didn't want to go through the pain of brewing it. I wonder. I don't know. I don't have a real answer on that, because I'm not sure if like I said, I'm kind of lazy, so I kind of wanted the easy way. But the hard way really is a really big, noticeable difference between the two. Booster says, my coffee bar video is coming soon. Awesome, man. That's what we're looking for. That's a great reminder. So if you are interested if you'd be interested in sharing your coffee setups at home or at work, if you're a professional, make a video. I'd love to include it in a future episode of the Coffee Bar Tours. I hope you got to see it, where we showcased Keone's setup as well as Omniel's setup, and then what I have set up here. And I'd love to show more people's setups. I noticed that Hoon has a series running on his community post where he's showing people's bar setups. That's awesome. I was really excited to see that. So if you're interested, and yeah, like I said, like Boost is saying, nothing special, just a regular iPhone. I think the iPhone is special enough, man. Like, just take your phone and just show us what you're doing at home. How did you set it up? And if you want to give some insight, why did you set it up the way you did? Why did you select the equipment that you did? What were the limitations that you faced that you had to put into consideration for your choices? I think those are all be really very insightful and very helpful for other viewers who are interested in building their own home setups, to see how you executed yours. Because this is what I'm doing right now with the woodworking thing, right? So I watch a lot of videos about how people build their workbenches or their work carts or set up their workspaces, their wood shops. And I get ideas and inspiration from them to see how I would like to do it. And this whole series of Coffee Bar Tours actually springboarded from a woodworker YouTuber by the name of the Wood Whisperer. He does a series of videos where he talks to his audience and they share videos about their wood shop setups. And I thought that's a really great idea, because I'm interested to see how people set up their own coffee bars and setups. So, and what tools they're using, right? Because I don't have all the answers and I don't know all the knowledge. So there's still so much, even for myself, to learn. So I'm very eager to see that. So yeah, Booster, when you're ready, message me on Instagram, onocoffee4, and let me know. So if anyone that says you're interested, when you're ready with your video, and it doesn't have to be edited, that's part of the reason why I wanted to show in the first episode that there are three ways. Keone had very simple way of approaching it, just with the phone and talking about it. And then there was Omniel, who had this full-blown production. Wild. Well, awesome. Just awesome. And then I shot the video, the narration of the video at Hershey Park, actually before I shot what I shot here. So I was planning on using the phone originally, like I said in the video, but I ended up using the Sony ZV-1 because I thought, we've already got Keone's iPhone video. Let's do something where the video quality is a little bit better as far as the camera wise, but a little bit more right or prescribed way of making video. Just go out and shoot, and you don't have to edit it. Just talk. Try to keep it under 5 minutes if you can. I always reserve the right to edit out parts. So there's things we have to change. Don't put music in it if you want to, or if you do, kind of tell me what flavor you'd like to have. If you want music, I have to work within certain restrictions for copyright laws. So, for example, in the actual video that Omniel sent me, he sent me one that had a soundtrack with it, music to it. And I was originally going to try to keep it, but then YouTube was giving me copyright warnings about it, so I had to scrub that and then replace the music. So the music that you hear in Omniel's section of the video is not the original music. It's music that I had to add from a a library of cleared music for YouTube. So there's a little bit of like back end issues with that, but love to see that. Love to see it. Naomi says, I haven't seen any of these videos. Where are you sharing them? Right here on the channel. If you go back to the main page for the channel, right, onocoffee, and you click on the videos, right? So for example, let's go to here. Can I go to my channel from here? I don't know the, so if you go here to the channel, whoops. Oh, this is a struggle. Oh, look, we're right there. Look at that. That's us here. Oh, here we go. Okay, so if you go to the channel and you go to videos, you'll see here, this video here says coffee bar. Oops. Gosh, too bright. So bright. This is better, maybe. Really? You can't focus on that? Okay, here, yeah. See here, this video, coffee bar tours the first Christmas. Click on that, and you will find me here talking about coffee, and then we'll see a video from... We're totally empty. Here's Keone's video. On the bottom. Right, so we got Keone here. And then we have this part where I'm talking about this setup. It's a backdrop for some of the shots. So like if we go to the upper camera, you can kind of see here. It is. And then there's an Omniel's video, which is wildly awesome. So that's kind of that's the video. So go check it out. It's really, I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed putting that together. Idea Studios with us. What's up, Dana, man? How are you doing? Hey, cleaning the new place after taking a break. Oh, nice. And taking a break. Oh, awesome. Yeah, how's that? How is the move? Has it been going smoothly, hopefully? And Dana says the Chemex is the reason I don't buy glass stuff anymore. I'm surprised they haven't, in this new era of coffee brand, I'm surprised they haven't released molded a Chemex out of polycarbonate to be a little bit more durable. I mean, over the years at Spro, we've broken a lot of these. We've broken with, if one of my people came back to me and said, yeah, well, it looks like we broke over 100 over the years, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. I hope not. It'd be terrible. It's a great expense. David says double wall stainless French press for the win. Yeah, that's a good one. I like those. And have I ever seen a stainless Chemex? Did they even have a stainless Chemex? I didn't even know that. I don't think they make one. I think Chemex only makes these, and I think part of that's because Chemex is still the same company that has been for many, many years, run by the same time. They have gotten to better marketing. So for many years, they just had these really simple brown cardboard boxes that they put a black and white sticker on. And then a few years back, they started coming out with this kind of sleek packaging, which is really nice. I was like, oh, when our first shipment came in of these, I was like, what's going on here? I was like, what is this new hotness, right? So, but I don't think they're unlike AeroPress, which got sold to a VC company that is trying to make more money. Chemex has been relatively stable as far as their offerings. In some ways, they're a little bit fuddy-duddy in the way that they do things, but still a very solid product. But they haven't been fast to move to other materials as far as I know. At least I haven't seen any. But if you wanted stainless Chemex, like I said, to me, the whole thing of Chemex is not necessarily this glass vessel, although this is the beauty of Chemex. It's what people think is most sexy. But to me, the true Chemex is this. And I will surmise to say, and I have never tried this, but I would surmise to say that if you took your Chemex filter and you put it into pretty much any vessel, you will have a coffee that is very much similar to brewing it in this. Because to my mind, this is the magic of the Chemex here. So that may be something for us to try in the future. I'll try to find some kind of stainless steel vessel to work with. Bruce says that Emil has it's a beautiful setup. He's got a really lovely setup down there. Dana says, I'm asking if there was a stainless one on the market. I would buy. Yeah, I don't think there is. I've never seen one. And I don't think that Chemex is really interested in making Chemexes in different materials than glass. I think even just to go to I think they had to go to blow molded glass instead of the hand blown glass because, price points. But I don't know. I would be interested. I mean, if there is one, maybe I'll look on Temu and see if there's anything out there like that. Or maybe AliExpress might have something. JR's with us. What's going on, man? Mir, the company that makes mugs, actually makes double wall metal. Oh, there it is. Dana, let us know. Mir. They're the guy that makes my I've been using their thermal thing that I have that from the running event that I didn't actually go to. I just bought it. All right, so I guess that's good. We're almost 90 minutes into this. I should go. I have to do some things. So, all right. And plus my niece's birthday is tomorrow. I have to get ready for that. I need to get her a gift. She's turning 15 tomorrow. I don't know how many of you have children, and I don't have children, but I have a niece and nephew and many other nieces. But to see them grow up is always so different. It's so interesting. Like, it's one of those things where, we all went through that era of life, right? Where you start to become more aware of yourself. You become more aware of the other gender. You become more interested in exploring those things. And it's just like to think that that's happening is how can I be a good supportive uncle? Like I told her yesterday, I was like, okay, so, and this is what I told all the other nieces and nephews that I kind of said, okay, so, now that you're getting older, it's like, if you should need me if you get into trouble in any way and you need me to come, call me at any moment. I told this to all some of the other nieces and are now in their 20s, so they've already gone through. But I was told all of them if you need anything, you call me at any moment and I will come, no questions asked. Because I think it's important for kids to know that they have a support system out there, and it's different than their parents, right? Like the parents, this is my brother's daughter, right? And I was like. And I remember growing up like this. Like your parents are important, right? And not to say, and that's not to give any thought that my brother and my sister are not supportive of their children. They're such good parents, like amazing parents. But it's different. Like you can sometimes, at least in my generation, we grew up where you could tell. You could talk to your parents about certain things, but you didn't really want to talk to them about other things. Or let them know about other things that you might be doing or caught doing or arrested for, right? You don't really want them to know that. So, you need like an ally. And I was like, okay, if I can be that ally, then if that's the role that I can be, then that's good. That's something, right? I think. Dana says, having a son and a daughter, there is definitely a double standard when it comes to dating. Oh yeah, because especially when you're a guy, right? And I don't know if it's true if you're a woman, because I'm not a woman, but if you're a guy who has grown up and lived in our world, guys know the larceny in other guys' minds, because we had that larceny in their mind is the larceny that is still today in our mind. So it's all just you're just like, oh, hell no, dude, hell no. It's so terrible, man. It's so terrible. It's like predators. We're all predators here. It's just bad. It's bad. Oh, Dana says, I just found one in shops and ordered. Oh, awesome. 3,300 baht, about $100. Ooh, $100. That's a bit pricey, but maybe we'll find one. Noah says, you're the favorite. I hope so. Dana says, I have a 16-year-old son and 20-year-old daughter. It was wild. Oh, yeah, it's definitely. It is so interesting. Like, when they're young, like I always tell my friends that have younger kids, I said, you know what? 2 to 6, I think, is a beautiful time. Because they're so young, they're so adorable, they're so cute, they're so lovable. 7, not to say they're not lovable anymore, but they just change, right? They're becoming their own person. 11, the rolling of the eyes starts to come out. You're no longer cool, even as the uncle, the uncle is always cooler than the father and the parents, right? Always cooler because you're just not that person, right? But still, you get that kind of like, okay, now I'm the older generation and I'm no longer as cool as I was. Bruce says, I always try to keep things 100% real with them. Yeah, you got to, and I think kids, especially when they get in their teens, I think they can respect that more. But the difficult part is like, how do we be good role models for the youth, right? Now that we're older, I become more conscious about how I present myself and how I present my viewpoints amongst the younger generations that are like my nieces and nephews from the larger family, right? And they all now range from like 11 or 10 to like in their 20s and above, right? So it's like there's a wide spectrum, but that's always been part of it. Like as all of them started, as the oldest one started to get into their teens, that's when it really started. So like maybe 10, 15 years ago, you start thinking more about that because it's like, do you want to be seen as the dickhead in the group or the family? You're like, I don't want to be seen that way. I want to make sure that my presentation is congruent with who I am, right? And be a good role model for that. Like my nephew, who's younger, he's like 12 or 13 now. He's 13, just turned 13. He got a little bit bullied by one of the guys one of the kids that he knows. And he's like, and the kid's older. Like it pissed me off because I was like, it's one thing to get bullied by someone that's your age. But when this guy's in high school and he's bullying you, you're like, what the, like I was really pissed off with it, right? And that really makes me mad. And I was like, and even my nephew was like, the other day we're talking, he's like, he's not a very good role model. I said, you know what? I said to him, you just remember that. Because you're going to be a role model too. And he's like, I'm too young to be a role model. I said, yeah, well, you are young, but there's always going to be someone younger than you who will look up to you and see you as an example. So just remember that as you go forward and you meet more people, become friends with other people that are younger, that will be the case too for you. Every team needs someone outside the. I think I agree. I totally needed that when I was younger. So I tried not. One of the things that I've always tried to do as I got older was never to forget how difficult it was when I was young. The difficulties that I had, and I was very like you kind of mentioned. You kind of joked about it a little while ago, but I was very rebellious. Like I was definitely like the black sheep of my family. Like I was the one that went to clubs and went out and did all this craziness, right? I never did drugs. I never did criminality, like outright criminality. I was never interested. I never really drank a lot and got drunk and got wasted and all that. Like my friends did that. I was like, I don't want to do any of that craziness. Like number one, I just didn't trust anyone to like have to take care of me. I'm like, I got to get home at some point. So I don't want to have to be like so whatever that I can't do that on my own. Terrible. So I never really enjoyed life in the way that other people did. Dana says, no guy will ever be trustworthy enough to date my daughter. I know, like, it's crazy. Like one of my cousins, right? He's got a daughter. And like when she started dating this guy, he would let him hang out. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Like, don't you know what's going on here? She's going to sleep over with him. I was like, no, man, what are you, crazy? It's like, have you forgot? And I wonder, like my cousin, I'm like, has he forgotten the larceny in our hearts? Like, I just, and I get, maybe, maybe it's the father-daughter thing. You just can't say no to your daughter. But I'm like, I was like, what? It's unacceptable. I was like, that's unacceptable. Even when he found out they were having relations, I was like, oh gosh, I don't want to know those things. Oh, I don't want to know. Dana says, I also have a 3-year-old niece. No guy will ever get, yeah, definitely not. Put that on lockdown. And it's not, and here's the thing, it's not about lockdown the girl. We just got to lock the guys out. Lock the guys. And I'm glad, maybe that's why I never had children, because I would probably be that crazy dad. And I'd be the kind of dad that would be like, I'm not going to, see, as the guys always talk, I'm going to clean my guns when the boy comes over. I'm not going to be like, I'm going to let him know that I'm not cleaning my guns. If you see my guns, it's because I'm going to shoot you. Because you are not good enough for I'd probably be in jail by now. I'd be like, that guy. You'd probably know me from CNN. Be like, oh, this guy slaughtered this boy for talking to his daughter. Terrible. Dana says, I love the criminality. Absolutely. Malcolm says, pre-Uber party era, when you had to worry about when you were going to get home. Yeah, man. I grew up in the 80s. I came of age in the 80s. So it was it was good time. It was good times, man. It was wild, man. House parties. I remember one person had a house party and the house caught fire. It was crazy. I was like, this is craziness. And you ran from the cops and it's like I don't know if kids do. I don't think kids do that. Kids don't have the same thing. I was talking to my niece yesterday. I was like, so you planning to drive next year? And she's like, I think so, but I don't know. Because this newer generation, the younger generation, they're just not that interested in driving. Some of them are, but majority of them, they're not like when we were young. When I was young, man, I was 12 years old. I was telling my niece this yesterday. I was like, when I was 12 years old, I was like, I can't wait to drive. And when's driving age? 16, 40 years. Oh, I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to make it to 16. And of course, you got there. But then I remember when I turned 50, so you can apply for here in Maryland, you can apply for your permit at 15 and 9 months. And I was like, I was always like, I'm going to push it. I turned 15. I went straight to the MVA, the Motor Vehicle Administration. And I was like, I'd like to get a permit. And they were like, you have to wait 9 months. I was like, come on. So yeah, I'm always trying to push it. Always trying to push it. Kids are very lazy nowadays. I don't know if it's, I know that I'm always hesitant to portray kids in that light, right? Like a lot of my contemporaries, they like to talk about the generation, like, oh, this is the kids or whatever. And I can see some of that. Their expectations are different. But there are a lot of people that I know. They're all like, oh, they're the what's that called, the participation trophy generation. They like to bash on them. But all I can remember, part of what in my mind is that I'm Generation X. I graduated high school in 1987. I'm very much a part of this generation whose adults labeled us as the slackers, the lazy kids, the kids that wouldn't do anything, right? They were always down on our generation, right? And in some respects, I don't think they're wrong, right? In some respects, I totally think they're wrong. But what I remember is I remember us being castigated as losers. And then I look now at modern times, I see my friends, they post in their Facebook and they're like, oh, these kids and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hey, man, who are the parents? You talk about, or especially the ones that are Generation X is the most amazing generation. We're amazing. We're awesome. We're totally rad, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you like to bash on these kids of today and how bad they are. But who are the parents? Who taught them? Who allowed them to be this bad? Well, the boomers are too old. It's our generation, right? It's us. It's us. If these kids are rubbish, it's because we have failed. Man, I never see my friends get so upset. Well, maybe with Trump stuff, but But when you tell them that when they're all about Generation X, and then you tell them, well, our generation's the ones that's in charge. So everything that's effed up about the life and like kids, it's because of our generation. They're like, oh, no, that's somebody else. Well, who else could it be? I don't know. It's not the millennials. They don't have kids yet, or they don't have old enough kids yet. So I don't know. I'm hesitant to totally disparage on it. And there's different, you see them, I see it. There's the expectations are different. It's a whole nother world. It's a whole nother way of thinking, right? Like, especially with the whole gender identity thing where they talk about like he, him, they, she, whatever. And I've had some staff that wanted to be called them or they, and I was like, huh? I was like, huh? What? What does that mean? I had to go to my friend who owns she's a lesbian who owned a sex shop, and I went to her. I was like, hey, what's this all about? Like, this is like maybe 10 years ago. I was like, what's this all about? This they, them, and she's like, she explained it to me. I said, okay, how should I approach it? She's like, do this. I was like, okay, good, I'll do that, because you know what I say. It's just like when we were young, we had different expectations. Like, for example, let's say in my particular example, it wasn't uncommon in like maybe the 70s for people like myself to be called Oriental or Japs or Nips or to call like Latinos Spics and all that kind of thing. It wasn't necessarily uncommon, but we changed, and younger generations were not accepting of that. My generation was not accepting of that. My generation was not accepting of apartheid in South Africa, so we rallied against it. Adults of that era didn't really understand, because it's like, oh, this is the way it's always been. It's fine. What are you guys getting all your panties in a bunch for? Right? But we did. We got our panties in a bunch, and we wanted change. We wanted improvement. And I think in a lot of respects, that's what the young people of today do. And I think that one of the pitfalls of adulthood is that we fall into this trap of, and I noticed this from adults when I was young. It's like we forget what it's like to be young. We forget the struggles of being young. We think that, because we have mortgages and all this kind of adult struggles, that the struggles of that the younger people face are not as legitimate. And I think that's something we need to, as people, we need to just to look upon in ourselves to be like, oh, you know what? Maybe we need to remember the difficulty of being young. The difficulty of being young, especially you're at a point in your life where now that we're older, we know who we are. We've already gone through all that. We're comfortable with who we are. Kids are not yet there. They're still trying to find their path. They're still trying to figure out who they are, what they want to be about, where they're going in life. It's a tough time. All right, that's a lot of pontificating. From Chemex to like pontificating. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. That's terrible. Booster says, or does the parents don't give them enough responsibility? I mean, it could be. Maybe the parents don't want to give enough responsibility. Maybe the parents don't put enough expectation. But that's on the parents. That's our generation. That's my generation, right? That's where the blame is. That's where the fault lies. If we're looking for fault, and we always seem to be looking for fault, but we're never willing to put the blame on ourselves. We're always like, it's always got to be someone else. It's not really someone else. Dana says, I'm a Gen X, but a Zennial. I graduated in 97. Oh, okay, nice. Oh, Zennial or is that Millennial? Busa says Gen X, we mostly failed our children. I wouldn't say that we mostly, did we mostly fail? In some respects, I think that's probably true, but I think that's true of all generations. In some respects, the parents will fail because the parents, have different experience than the kids. Like my parents my parents' experience is very different than mine because they didn't, like, for example, in my family, it's very strong in a different way in that my parents came from a whole different culture. They had to come to America and they didn't really grow up in the culture they didn't know, but or I did. So the expectations were very different. Like in the old school with the Philippine way, like you were the children, you were spoken to and told what to do. When I grew up in America, man, I was like, what? I'm America. I'm not listening to that. You can't tell me what to do. I'm going to talk back because, that's what we do here. That's what the neighborhood kids are doing. That's my neighborhood. My parents are teaching us you must respect elders, and there's the neighborhood kids. Fuck you, Mom. Oh, this is craziness here. Naomi says, I was a rule follower and still am, but I had 1 year of wilding. That was it. I know that the Rumspringer that the Amish go through. That's always a good time. It's always good. It's always good to have that time of like letting go and like going wild. I think it's good to be wild. Because my friends, like I think some of my friends that never had that are very straight. They're very like, very super like successful, no doubt, but still very like, I'm just like, do you really know how to like enjoy yourself? Like you're really kind of stiff even today, like 50 years later, it's like, you're still kind of stiff, dude. Like what's wrong with you? And then one of my friends is still very much like, oh, remember when we did this in high school? And I was like, no, high school. Are you still talking about high school? God. This is 2025. Get out of high school. That was like 1985. I have no recollection. I have very little recollection of the high school years. I'm just like crazy. Dana says Generation X is hard as that's right, we're hard. We're hard. But we never had a Gen X president. Yeah, because Gen X presidents might actually like either we'll nuke the hell out of the world, or just be like, hey man, no worries. It's all good. I'm just gonna chill. We should get a surfer president. Then be like, yeah man, it's all good. I'm just gonna toke a little bit here on the balcony. Dana says born in 78, so on the edge of both. Nice. Marcus says the pontificating and waxing product keeps you going. Oh, well, all right, we shall continue. But we will not continue right now. We'll continue next week here on the coffee with more coffee making and pontificating about who knows what. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I got to go to Sephora and get some items from the Gifu. All right, so hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you're in this area, I think, or on the East Coast of the United States, I think it's going to snow Sunday. That's what they're calling for, 3 to 6 inches. So be safe out there. And if you're not, you're very lucky enjoying the tropical weather in Southeast Asia or wherever you might be. So hope you have a wonderful weekend and see you next time.